My name is Janice Pope. I'm a Studio E fabric rep. I'm also president of Anything But Boring, which is a pattern company. Anything But Boring does not have a booth here this time, but I will be in the Studio E and Blank booth if you want to come by and see me. I would love to have your feedback on this talk. Louder. The microphone's not working, unfortunately, so I'm going to yell at you. In a nice way, I hope. Don't close the, yeah, we'll close the door so it'll get a little quieter. So this topic is my shop needs new customers and my shop needs more customers. So this is, I'm going to pelt you with ideas. Even in 30 minutes, I probably won't get through all of them, but that's why I give you notes. You can take them home and use them. And I apologize, your copy looks like mine. I sent it to the office and said, stick in the Studio E logo. And I checked with Diana to make sure that the logo got put in, and she said it did and it looked great. But just pretend there's a Studio E logo on there. Hey, the booth number's right. And it is? 11%. Thank you. Okay, attracting and keeping customers is key to any quilt shop's success. So I wanted to tell about, I used to work in the electronics industry. Yes, I did not like it. I liked being a salesperson. I always have. But I did not like selling electronics because I felt like I wasn't helping people and I wasn't influencing their lives the way that I am now in this job. Truly, truly, I've never had a job that I love so much. They said, oh dear, shut your ears, guys. They said you should never do a job that you wouldn't be willing to do for free. I would be willing to do this job for free. I'm a quilter. I'm going to go to Quilt Stores for the rest of my life on this earth. And now I get paid to do it. But seriously, not anymore. Oh crap, I just lost my job.
No, you have your job.
Oh, yeah, just not getting paid for it. When I worked for Hamilton Avnet Electronics, they were actually a distributorship, and we purchased from the big manufacturers, and we sold to consumers and also small manufacturers. So I sold integrated circuits, little tiny things with part numbers that I still remember, 7417, 8086, 80186, and I even remember what those parts did for the most part, which is really insane. But I'm kind of a number person. So anyway, Hamilton Avnet made us answer the telephone. Super service, Hamilton Avnet, this is Janice, may I help you? And then customers would call in and they would say, I need some of that super service. And they waited for us to go through that little spiel every time they called in. There was no fake, everyone answered a real telephone with a real person. There was no fake people on the phones like there is now. And the other thing we did that was very unique was we had a bell on the wall. It was a brass bell about this big. And the bell had a hammer that hung down on a string, and when you struck it, it made a loud noise. If I was we had to ring the bell one time for every $1,000 order we took. I sold about $3 or $4 million a year. You can imagine the way the place sounded. It was loud. But I would be on the phone with a customer and they would hear other salesperson ringing the bell and they would say, what is that? And I would say, someone just wrote an order over $1,000. Every ring is a $1,000 sale. And they were like, oh, well, are you going to ring the bell if I give you a $1,000 order? I'm like, I certainly am. They would have me set the phone down and go ring that stupid bell so they could hear the bell ring. We thought it was silly. We thought it was gimmicky, but it worked. We tried to give the best possible service to our customers because they had choices. There were 3 or 4 other distributors in my town. We covered 2 states, and we wanted everybody's business if we could get it. So, now I work for Jaftex. You probably all now know who the Jaftex company is since they bought Free Spirit. Jaftex was the name behind Studio E and Blank Quilting and Henry Glass and A.E. Nathan, all these companies. But you probably didn't even know the name Jaftex until they bought Free Spirit. Now everybody knows who Jaftex is, right? So Jaftex's view of customer service is that we are still a small company. We want to please you, our customer. We want to ship the best possible product. We want to ship it right, and we want it to be easy to sell to your customers every single time. If you have a flaw in your fabric, you call us up. We either issue credit or we send you a new bolt. There's a lot of companies that don't do that. When I was working for a quilt store, I was the manager about 15 years ago, and I had a fabric with a flaw in it. We'd had the fabric 3 or 4 months, and I called the manufacturer and said, I have a flaw that's running through this entire bolt. Can I get a credit or another bolt? And they said, no. I said, but it's flawed. They said, you've had it over 30 days. And I looked at the phone and I said, are you telling me that you want me to unroll every single bolt I get and look at it? I don't think so. I'm not buying your product anymore. I was not a happy camper, and it wasn't even my store. But I was furious that somebody would do that. So I'm here to say, don't do that to your customers. We don't do that to you. If there's a flaw, we want it fixed, we want it right. We want every shipment right. Of course, we're all human, we make errors. You're going to get something wrong, you're going to get something that's faulty, but our intent is to make you happy. And when we get a little later in this talk, we're going to talk about how you have to do the same thing for your customers. So I enumerated types of customers: a seeker, those looking for a project; a visitor, someone who's in the area for the very first time. If you're in a resort area, that would apply to you. Regulars who come in weekly to see what's new, or they're coming to a bee meeting that's at your store, or they're coming for a block of the month. Sometimes people finish something, and before they give it to their giftee, they want you to see it because they bought the things there or they did it in a class. So you've got your show and tellers coming. And then I put down the needy. You know who those people are. They're the people who, you know, their dog got run over, or their kids in reform school, or there's unhappiness or sadness in their life. And they're coming. I used to say they're coming to get propped up. They need a lift. They need someone to hug them. They need someone to appreciate them and love on them. And that's your job. Sorry. That's what you got to do. So, how do you attract new customers? Well, it would be really good if you had a website, even if it's just a landing page. I had a new store open last fall, and I started talking to her about getting a website. And she's like, oh, I just don't think I can do all this. I said, look, you at least need a landing page. So what a landing page is one page. It tells where you are, how to find you, your telephone number, your hours, maybe a picture of the store. That's the minimum that every store needs. You don't have to sell online to have a landing page, but you need a landing page. That is the minimum. And then after that, you can have all kinds of things, other pages and things to go with it. You need good SEO so that the site comes up on the first page. SEO is search engine optimization. Now, here's the bad news. It's going to come up on your page in your computer as a first search every time. Why? Because you've gone to it on that computer before. The only way to truly check your SEO is to look up your company on a computer that has never looked it up before. So you got to find somebody else's computer in the house or somebody else's house and look it up. And what you want is for that to come up on the very first page of search. You know, you might have 2,000 things come up, but we want yours on the first page because a lot of people never go to page 2. If you've moved, you need to verify that the information on Google and other searches is updated and accurate. This is harder than it sounds. You probably need to get professional help. I'm not kidding. to get something changed in Google once it's put up there is really difficult, but you got to do it. You don't know how many times I've tried to find a new customer I'm supposed to go visit, and I can't because everything's wrong. Advertising, there's all kinds of ways of advertising. TV, radio, local restaurants, local magazines, local newspapers. I would say two things are really key. One is signage. There was a customer, not surprisingly, they're no longer in business, that was on a main road in Virginia. And it was storefront, lovely little place, and the signage was on the roof. Sounds great, right? Totally unsuccessful. Do you know why? The signage was in cursive. And you're driving a car at 35 miles an hour, and you can't read it. I completely went past it and missed it. And I'm like, this looks like the right address, but what was that? And it was something like something mercantile. Well, mercantile is not going to attract me. The word quilt attracts me like a magnet. Mercantile does not attract me. I'm sorry. It's a cute name. I like the name. I hope your name's not Mercantile. Any Mercantiles in here? Whew. Okay, darn, she's videoing me. Somebody out there is Mercantile. There are a few Mercantiles, but I don't care what your name is. Put big words in print. Quilt Store. That's what attracts people. You can have a great name, but if you don't have Quilt Store in big enough letters that it can be seen from whatever highway you're on, I highly recommend spend $5,000. Do it. It will change your life. That is really, 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 can you tell this is a big hot spot for me? But now, I only visit 100 quilt stores every 4 months. I do have an opinion, and that is really important. And when a customer does have good signage, first thing I do when I go in to see them the first time and say, who did your signage? Your signage looks great. I love what you've done. This is awesome. And one of them told me it was $1,000 a letter. I was in Greensboro. She got big letters. I don't know how big they are, but they look big from the street. Because she's in a place, but she's off the street. But it says Calla Lily Quilts in Greensboro, North Carolina. Can't miss it. Can't miss it. It's awesome. So work on your signage. Radio. I put my bag here. How many of you have ever done a radio ad? Awesome. So, radio is not cheap, but it can be very good. And I'm so sorry. And I need a microphone. Sherry So What opened a year ago February. And I know, she has a cute name, right?
Do you know Sherry? If you so, Sherry is the one you need to know. So come to Sherry So What on beautiful Lake Gaston. Sherry is the sewing guru. Sherry knows almost everything about sewing and quilting and embroidery. In fact, Sherry's invites you to Sherry So What for quilting classes plus machine embroidery. And check out Sherry's selection of beautiful fabrics. It's all about sewing at Sherry So What. But don't take my word for it. Come see Sherry at Sherry So What. Open Tuesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. till 5 p.m. Like Sherry So What on Facebook. Or like her even better when you meet her in person at her store. Sherry So What. See Sherry Newton, 7988 Lizard Creek Road, down from Wildwood Nursery and Garden Center. Come on up to Sherry So What on beautiful Lake Gaston and bring a friend. Enjoy the thrill of sewing, quilting, and embroidery. Come meet Sherry Newton at Sherry So What on beautiful Lake Gaston. Sherry So What open Tuesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. till 5 p.m. See Sherry at Sherry So What.
It is. So, radio is really cute. Now, you may not have the name Sherry and you can't sing the Sherry song, but do you notice that our demographic for a lot of our customers is the age that would appreciate that song. And you just about can't help but sing along with it. Even when he's talking about how cool Sherry is, and Sherry really is that cool, it's just really a fun ad. So she is going to run that in the radio station that is 45 minutes from her. She is in a resort area, Lake Gaston, North Carolina. There is no city nearby. There's not even a little town nearby. But Roanoke Rapids is a pretty big city, and it is on 95, and it is 45 minutes away, and that's where the ad is going to run. So I thought that was really smart. When I quilted, I made my first quilt in 1977. I didn't find out that there were quilt stores until like 2001. Now, why? Why did I not know this? Because quilt stores in general don't advertise. They don't do radio. They don't do newspaper. I would recommend, if you're having trouble getting new people, try, I know it's expensive, but do one. Try one radio. Try one newspaper, because you're going to attract some people that are in your community that don't know you're there. I'm sure I was not the only person that didn't know they were there. The travel catalogs, Quilter's Traveler's Companion, that's great. That's going to get you quilters who come to your area. But that's not going to find that person that's in your area that doesn't know about you. Do you see the difference? Yeah, it's easy to attract quilters. You just put up Quilt Store and you'll get quilters. But finding people who might be interested in quilting who haven't started yet, or who quilt and don't know about you, there's lots of those. I didn't know there was a guild. It was a 400-member guild in my town. Didn't know about it. Unless you tap into those people, you're lost. You don't know anything about it. Word of mouth. Guild presence and presents. I highly recommend you visit your local guild and you take gifts to be given away during their raffle thing or whatever they do. Bee meetings and visits. I have a store in my area that she's kind of out of the way. She's actually about 45 minutes from Lake Gaston. She does special events. She has it right on her website that she will treat your guild to something special if you will let her know you're coming. So if you've got 6 or 8 people coming, she makes up goodie bags for every one of them. It'll have a water and a fat quarter or something in it. So that encourages people to make it an event to go and visit your store. Also, bee meetings. If you don't have a sew-in, a free sew-in, or a bee that's meeting at your store, or a charity bee that's part of the guild, or some reason for people to come on a weekly basis, I would highly recommend that you do that. Shop hop. I bet all of you are in a shop hop. Anybody not in a shop hop? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 or 8. Okay, so there may not be one in your area, but it is worth having one if you can get it worked up with just even 3 or 4 stores to make it a reason for them to come to your area. Rewards program, coupons, and incentives. How many of you have a loyalty program? Okay, enough said. If you don't, you see how many people do. How many of you feel like that's really important? Yes, there you go. I'll just shut up. Even if you've never vended before, do a vending at a quilt show or some opportunity to get a coupon in someone's hand to get them to come visit your store. So they may be visiting the area to go to this quilt show, but they may not have come to your store before. Every person who gets that coupon gets to come to the store and save, something. Get a fat quarter free or get a $5 gift coupon. Anything to get them in the store that hasn't been there before is a good thing. Oh yeah, there's my exterior signage. I already covered that. Okay. Expert marketing. They say that you need to, this is 20 years ago, when you are trying to do outreach to find customers, you would do, long time ago, bulk mailings. I still get a lot of junk mail and bulk mailings. But bulk mailings serve the purpose of letting you know that this whatever is available now. If you can find an inexpensive way to be part of, like the things where you get an envelope and there's 20 things in there, that may not be a bad way to start. But 3 touches, they said, before someone would consider coming to see you. That was with something like a bulk mailing. I'm not sure if that is still the case or how that would work, but if you think about it, I think for quilters, they're going to come see you at least once to find you and to see what you have. But for people who haven't come to see you before and may not be involved in the quilting community, they just aren't started yet, even though they're thinking about it, because they just haven't started it yet, you know? And to get them off their seats and moving towards you, they have to know about you. So whatever method you find of reaching out to them, you might consider it's going to take more than once to do it. So, how many of you have billboards? Anybody have a billboard? In the last talk I was in, someone had a billboard. In North Carolina, there are billboards. It is actually a billboard that showed me my first quilt store. I was traveling back and forth between Raleigh and Burlington because my mom was in the hospital for 5 weeks. And on the highway, there was a sign, and it said, "Quilt Store, this exit." And I thought, there's a store that sells quilt stuff? Oh my gosh. And I stopped, and I bought. And it gave me something to work on while I was sitting in the hospital. And then it was probably another 8 months before I found out there were stores in Raleigh, and that I found out there was a guild in Raleigh. Everything has to go right on every visit. This is so critical. I know most of you are stores that you probably have employees. How many have employees? Almost everybody. Okay. So I really think it's critical that you meet with your employees on a regular basis, sit down with them in a relaxed setting, and review with them exactly how you want them to act when you are there and when you're not there. Every customer needs to be touched in a friendly way, because those people, those customers, are your ambassadors, and they're going to talk. They're going to talk to their bee. They're going to talk to their neighbor. They're going to talk to their friends. They're going to talk at Guild, and every single one of them is going to you want them telling other people how great their experience was, and that will help you get more new customers more than anything else, just about. How to keep your customers coming back? Oh dear, are we out of time? Yes.
3:40. 1 minute.
1 minute. Well, we got things to give away. You can read the rest of them. I hope I've given you lots and lots and lots of ideas. I don't think they need a whole lot of explanation. I will be hanging around booth 1107, and I would love to sit down and talk to you about any of these things on this list that I didn't cover personally, and let's give some stuff away.